Welcome back to Occupy the Media. Thanks for staying with us. A lot of talk during this show about the future of the Occupy movement and its direction, where it's been, and what it needs to do to maintain relevancy. But as always, we want to hear from you. The call is free, 877-575-FSTV. That's 877-575-3788. Throughout the show, we've been talking about the difference the Occupy movement has made. What will it take for the movement to win real and lasting change? The lines are open. But our last story for today is a familiar topic, student loan debt. During the recent graduation season, Occupy colleges encouraged students to raise awareness in an unusual fashion. Everyone nowadays deals with student loan debt, almost everybody. What do these students do? They
actually banded a different subset group called Occupy Graduations, and they took inflatable balls and chains and chained it to themselves, wrote the number that they're graduating, wrote the number of debt that they're graduating with, and walked across the aisle, walked down the stage, walked across the graduation ceremony with this ball and chain of debt attached.
Okay, and you actually had a chance to catch up with Kyle McCarthy. He's one of the founders of Occupy Graduation. Let's check it out.
Kyle, thank you so much for joining us today. Where did the idea of protesting with a ball and chain come from? Why use this symbol?
Well, thanks for having me. And the idea really was a collective decision to go with this. The Backbone campaign, Occupy Student Debt, and Occupy Colleges, and several other groups really came together on this issue and decided to go with Occupy Graduation, which people are being weighed down by their debt and basically forced into indentured servitude. So we figured, sending out balls and chains and having people wear their debt on them was really a good symbol to show how dire the situation is.
Now, talk a little bit about people's reaction. We've seen pictures of folks in their cap and gowns with the big ball and chain strapped to them. What did other professors say? What did family members say? What did people who were at graduation think about this protest?
Actually, the majority of the reactions were positive, and even in a video we released of one of the individuals who protested being interviewed, she said that even her dean said, this is necessary and this is great that you did this. So it was a lot of high fives, and thank you for doing this and standing up for the issue, standing up for people that are suffering from this issue.
Now let's talk about where to go from here. Graduation season, for the most part, is over, at least for this year. How do you want to keep the momentum going and keep the conversation going when it comes to the ballooning student debt that college students are facing?
Well, it's still, yes, graduations are coming to an end, but we're still going to be reaching out to the media and showing how big of an issue this is, because we've got the next class that's coming in. And really, one way might be to reach out to them and say, this is what's happened to people now that they're graduating, and to really make smart decisions when they borrow. And that, you shouldn't, if you don't have to borrow that money, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
That was Kyle McCarthy from Occupy Graduation, and those ball and chains were symbolic, but Don, I really imagine that for a lot of students that weight of that debt feels very, very real.
Oh, absolutely. This is clever and it's creative form of protest, but it's deadly serious. $20,000, $25,000 in debt, sometimes even much higher than that per student. It's this is going to crush the future prospects of young graduates coming into the workforce.
An entire generation of people, and this is an issue that not only in the U.S. and Canada, we talked about the protests going on there in Quebec, but let's move on to our broader topic, because I know a lot of people want to talk about that, the future of the Occupy movement. You're watching Occupy the Media. It's time to take some more calls from the 99%.
Mic check. Mic check.
Okay, caller on the line, Al from New York. What do you think about our topic today? Is Occupy Wall Street dead as a movement?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Al. We can hear you. You're coming through strong. What do you think about the future of the Occupy movement?
Okay, the Occupy movement has to get involved politically. Okay, let's look at it this way. We have 300 bills still pending in the Senate. Now, before the Tea Party took over, in the New York Times, David Leonhardt and Mr. Ornstein wrote that that the Senate was the most productive Congress since the New Deal before the Tea Party took over. Now, when the Tea Party took over, their whole mission was to destroy and sabotage the economy so that they can prevent Obama from getting a second term. Now, we have to get engaged. Mr. Gupta is totally wrong. He's misguiding the people of the Occupy movement. We have to get engaged because the American dream is slipping away. People have to get engaged. Thank you.
Okay, Al, thanks a lot for your call. Don, this is a really big issue within the Occupy movement. It's a true debate. Which way do we go? Go political, stay out of politics? What do you think?
It's a very legitimate debate, and it's the kind of debate that has been going on in the civil rights movement and the human rights movement, the globalization movement for a long time. So I'm not surprised by it, but I don't think that it's a debate that is going to undermine the potential power of the Occupy movement. I think it's a healthy development for the Occupy movement.
But to channel Al, there aren't the dangers of the Occupy movement not getting involved in politics the way that the Tea Party movement did, the impact that would have on the political system in our country, not just the president. I mean, we're talking everything. We're talking environmental bills. We're talking about the structure of Congress.
I mean, I think what's interesting is that a lot of criticism against the Occupy movement is this idea that they're trying to operate outside of the norm, outside of the rules. And a lot of people say, if you really want to make change, you have to go in. You have to go into Congress. You have to play by the rules and really rework things from the inside out, because trying to come from the outside in isn't really going to do much. So in that case, I think there's a lot to be said for the Occupy movement getting involved with politics and really saying, well, we're going to change income inequality, and it goes back to who's in charge. And now that we're in Congress, we're going to make the rules.
Don, I'll get back to you in a sec, but first I want to take this call from Roxana from Oregon. You're on Occupy the Media. What do you think about all the things we've been talking about?
Actually, it's Rosanna.
Rosanna, sorry.
I totally love everything I've been hearing, and what I have to add to it, and it may have been, I may just be repeating, but we really need to replace those in power when they do not represent us, the people, and I feel that it's our right and it's our responsibility to change the government when it no longer serves us. I really feel like I don't have anybody to vote for, and I was thrilled when I was finally able to vote. And if we need some regular guys in there. We need the working class people who's affected by it, who's living on limited income, and not someone who's made it a profession or a family profession.
Okay, Roxana, it's time to go to the polls. That's what she says. Thanks a lot for your call, Don. We've got about 30 seconds left. I'm going to give you the last word on this.
My last word is really to quote Christopher Hedges, who is a very well-known journalist and has written a lot about the Occupy movement.
About 10 seconds.
And he says the Occupy movement will be back. He says the future movement may not resemble Occupy. It may not even bear the name Occupy, but it will come. I have seen this before, and we should use this time to prepare, to educate ourselves about the best ways to fight back.
Okay, there you go. So we asked our Facebook friends and Twitter followers, U.S. student loan debt has reached the $1 trillion mark. Do you think colleges should come with a warning label? Jamie says, absolutely, it should come with a warning label and several financial accountability courses required in high school. Karen says, not exactly sure about a warning label, but the cost of tuition definitely needs to be lowered. And Marie says, a warning label about the high costs and a disclaimer about the state of the job market. All right, that's it for this week. Just to remind you, Free Speech TV is a nonprofit organization, which means we don't take money from corporations and we depend solely on our viewers. So if you like what we're doing here at Occupy the Media, we could really use your support to keep this going and to keep this conversation valid. Help us continue our mission by going to freespeech.org and becoming a member. So thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next week, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Occupy the Media.
Marching in the army, got no gun to shoot, but what I got is one guitar. What you got now? One guitar. I'm a soldier marching in the army, got no gun to shoot, but what I got is one guitar. What you got? One guitar. I think that's how all we got. street, anticapitalista.
I make a really significant impact and get home by 7:15. I work half the time you do. I know you must.